In 1986, Adelaide is vacationing with her parents in Santa Cruz. While her father is distracted by a game, Adelaide wanders off. After avoiding a man holding a sign with a Bible quote, Adelaide goes down some dark stairs and ends up on the beach, where she sees a storm coming. Then she notices an abandoned funhouse of mirrors and goes inside. She wanders around and is startled by the game's fake out. Suddenly the power goes out and Adelaide accidentally bumps into a mirror. She starts whistling as she looks for the exit, and to her shock someone whistles back. At that moment Adelaide bumps into another mirror, but when she turns around her reflection doesn't. When the other girl finally turns, Adelaide can only stare in horrified shock. In 2019, a now adult Adelaide and her family arrive at their summer home to spend their vacation. During lunch, her husband Gabe tells their daughter Zora that she shouldn't give up running because she could make it to the Olympics one day. Their son Jason has been practicing a magic trick, but he's too shy to do it in front of everyone. Gabe announces they'll be going to the beach in Santa Cruz, and Adelaide doesn't look too happy about the idea. She remembers how her parents talked about her after the funhouse incident, saying she was only missing for 15 minutes, but she still seemed to have PTSD. They wanted her to share her story, but she refused to say a single word. A therapist advised them to make Adelaide express herself through art, like dancing or drawing. In the present, Adelaide and Gabe are arguing because she doesn't want to go to the beach. Gabe reminds her this is the first summer they've come since Grandma died, convincing her to do it for the kids. Then Adelaide goes looking for her son and finds a box with some childhood things. A picture makes her remember her days as a dancer, which makes her nervous to look in the mirror. The moment is interrupted by a screaming Jason, who hid in the closet and got stuck. After freeing him, Adelaide reminds him not to play there. Later in the car, Adelaide tries to relax and enjoy her time with her family, but seeing the beach makes her tense. It brings back another memory of her parents arguing over the incident when she could not even talk. She snaps out of it when she hears an ambulance and notices the paramedics taking a dead man away. Adelaide recognizes him as the guy with the Bible sign from the carnival. At the beach they hang out with the Tylers, although Adelaide doesn't like Kitty very much and puts up with her because their husbands are friends. Zora doesn't like Kitty's daughters either because they're mean. Kitty wants to chat, but Adelaide tells her that talking is hard for her. Being surrounded by so many loud people makes Adelaide nervous again, and she ends up zoning out until she almost gets hit by a frisbee. Meanwhile, Jason comes out of the bathroom and sees a man dressed in a long trench coat with blood dripping from his fingers. At that moment, Adelaide notices her son is missing and panics, but Jason comes back and explains he just went to the bathroom. That night, Adelaide is putting Jason to bed when she finds his latest drawing, which shows the bleeding man. Afterward, Adelaide tells Gabe that she wants to leave because this place makes her feel as if she wasn't herself. She shares the story of the mirror incident, explaining that the girl she saw turned around to reveal the same face as hers. Adelaide ran back to her parents, but since then she's been worried that her doppelganger would come back for her. Lots of weird things have been happening since they arrived, and Adelaide thinks they're signs. When Gabe tells her not to worry because he'll protect her, the power goes out. Then Jason comes to tell his parents there's a family in the driveway. They take a look and confirm there are 4 creepy-looking people outside holding hands. Adelaide immediately panics and calls 911 while Gabe goes outside to tell the strangers to leave his property. None of them react, so Gabe goes back inside and Adelaide tells him the cops will arrive in 14 minutes. Unwilling to wait that long, Gabe grabs a bat and leaves the house again to threaten the strangers. Suddenly the 2 small figures hide and the tallest one starts approaching Gabe, who panics and rushes inside. Zora runs to hide upstairs and notices one of the strangers climbing a tree, while another one looks through the window to stare at Jason. Adelaide brings her children close and Gabe stands by the entrance, hearing the big stranger pounding on the door. At that moment the pounding stops and the stranger begins whistling as he finds the spare key under a fake rock. When he tries to open the door, Gabe pushes back to keep him out, only for the stranger to reach inside and steal the bat. He hits Gabe with it to bring him down and the door opens to reveal Abraham, who looks exactly like Gabe. The other strangers get inside by breaking the windows and the family is shocked to notice these people are an exact copy of them. The only difference is that they are all wearing red jumpsuits and carrying scissors. The doppelgangers turn on the fireplace and appear to communicate only with grunts except for Adelaide's copy Red, who talks with a very raspy voice. She begins telling the story of a girl who had a shadow, explaining that they were tethered together. When the girl ate, she was given good food, but the shadow had to hunt and eat raw rabbit. On Christmas the girl would get wonderful toys, but the shadow had old things that would hurt her hands. One day the girl met a prince and fell in love, but the shadow met Abraham. It didn't matter if the shadow loved Abraham or not. Since he was tethered to the girl's prince, the shadow had to marry him too. When the girl had a beautiful daughter, the shadow gave birth to a little monster. Then the girl had her second child and the doctors opened her belly, but the shadow had to do it by herself. The shadow really hated the girl for a long time until one day the shadow realized she was being tested by God. When Red finishes her story, a terrified Gabe offers money and material things to make them leave, but he's turned down. He asks who they are and Red answers, "We are Americans." Then she makes Adelaide handcuff herself to the table, threatening to hurt the children if she doesn't obey. Once that's done, Abraham takes Gabe's glasses and begins dragging him out of the house, hitting him when he tries to defend himself. Once they're outside, Abraham punches Gabe to knock him out. Inside, Red tells Zora to run as her doppelganger Umbry starts chasing after her. The last copy named Pluto offers his hand to Jason and together they go to the closet, where Pluto forces Jason to put on his toy mask as he mimics all his movements. When they both take their masks off, Pluto reveals a burnt face. The boys put the masks on again and Pluto shakes Jason's hand, asking for his magic trick. Jason distracts him with it before jumping out of the closet and closing it to leave Pluto locked inside. Down the road Zora continues to run, but Umbry appears in front of her. Zora tries hiding behind a car and Umbry follows her steps on the opposite side until she suddenly disappears. A scared Zora checks under the car and finds nothing, so she looks up and finds Umbry on top of the vehicle. At that moment the car's owner comes out to complain, so Zora takes the chance to run away while Umbry kills the guy with the scissors. Meanwhile Gabe wakes up inside a bag and makes a hole in the plastic to discover Abraham has taken him away on a boat. The engine suddenly stops and Abraham starts hitting while yelling grunts at the people in the house. While he's distracted, Gabe breaks out of the bag and hits him with the bat, causing him to fall into the water. At that moment the engine starts again and the boat moves, dropping Gabe in the water too. After going around for a few minutes the engine stops once more and Gabe uses the chance to return to the boat. However, while he's still climbing, Abraham appears behind him and tries stabbing him with the scissors. After some struggle, Gabe decides to headbutt the engine to activate it, and the machine immediately kills Abraham. In the house Adelaide asks what they want. Red says they want to take their time because they've been waiting for this day for very long. They call this event the untethering. Red pushes Adelaide's head against the table, cracking the glass, but she lets go when she hears Pluto crying out. Red goes to free her son and starts making her way back, only to stop when she finds the box with Adelaide's childhood things. She stares at the bunny before cutting off its head. In the living room, Adelaide tries to remove the handcuffs to no avail. Then she stretches her legs to grab a fire poker and uses it to break the table, finally freeing herself. Keeping the poker as a weapon, Adelaide searches the house and finds Jason. Pluto is coming after them, so Adelaide begins pushing furniture to block his way. Then she and Jason rush outside where they reunite with Zora. Together they run to the pier and get on the boat with Gabe, who drives his family away while the doppelgangers watch from afar. Meanwhile, Kitty thinks she heard something outside her house and sends her husband Josh to investigate. Josh says he sees someone only to reveal he's just kidding. When their twin daughters come out to ask what's happening, another set of doppelgangers appears. Their faces match Kitty's family. They wear red jumpsuits and can't talk. They also have scissors which they use to kill the whole family. At that moment Adelaide's family knocks on the door. When fake Josh opens, Adelaide notices the jumpsuit and the blood, so she hits him on the head with a poker. Josh is unbothered and grabs her arm so the other doppelgangers can drag Adelaide inside. Then Josh comes after Gabe, who starts running while his kids go into the house. After Zora grabs a golf club, the siblings find the bodies on the floor. They can hear screaming coming from above, so Jason grabs a heavy decoration and the duo starts making their way upstairs where they find the dead twins. One of the fake sisters is doing a bunch of handsprings and blocks the siblings' way, but Zora hits her with the golf club and makes her fall to the ground floor, killing her. The other sister appears behind her and Zora begins fighting her, hitting her with the club a few times until she goes down. Now Zora can continuously beat her up until this sister dies too. In the bedroom, Adelaide is handcuffed to the bed while fake Kitty is putting on makeup. Kitty threatens Adelaide with the scissors but pulls away at the last second. Then she looks in the mirror to do it on herself. On the pier, Gabe hides inside a boat. When fake Josh comes looking for him, Gabe shoots a flare at his face to kill him. Kitty looks through the window when he hears the shot and moves her mouth as if screaming and then laughing, but no noise comes out. Zora arrives and tries to attack her by surprise. However, Kitty turns around and pushes her onto the bed. When Kitty is about to stab her with the scissors, Jason hits her from behind to bring her down. Afterward, the whole family reunites in the living room and Adelaide tries calling the police, but nobody picks up the call. They turn on the news and learn that doppelgangers wearing red jumpsuits have been appearing all over the country to kill the person with their matching face using scissors. Some people claim they came out of the sewers. Now the doppelgangers are holding hands on the street, forming a human chain. Gabe thinks they're safe here in Kitty's house, but Adelaide argues with him until she convinces him it's better to leave the country. The kids and Gabe go outside while Adelaide searches for the car keys, noticing something weird in the room. She rushes to grab a pan and turns around just in time to hit Kitty with it. Then the women start fighting and Adelaide finds some scissors on the floor, so she uses them to stab Kitty and kill her for good. At the same time, Jason comes inside looking for his mother and watches her kill Kitty. Afterward, they rush outside and the whole family gets in the car only to find Umbry in the middle of the road. Zora starts the car to run over her, but Umbry jumps and lands on top of her. She starts hitting the windows with the scissors, so Zora speeds up for a while then suddenly stops the car, sending Umbry flying into the woods. Adelaide goes to check if she's truly dead and finds Umbry stuck on some branches but still alive. The face reminds her too much of Zora, so Adelaide goes back to her family and leaves Umbry to die slowly alone. In the morning, the family makes it to town and finds their original car in flames with Pluto standing nearby. Adelaide approaches him with gentleness, but Jason realizes it's a trap and the family immediately leaves the car. There's a line of fuel going to the vehicle and Pluto gets ready to set it on fire, However, Jason remembers the mimicking movements and starts walking backward to force Pluto to do the same. While Pluto falls into the flames of the burning car, Red uses the chance to kidnap Jason. Adelaide desperately goes looking for them and reaches the beach, where more doppelgangers are holding hands. She enters the mirror funhouse and destroys the owl that scared her as a child. Then she finds a door at the back and opens it, which allows a rabbit to escape. Adelaide makes her way through a machinery room and downstairs. After going through a few doors, she gets on an escalator that takes her to an underground tunnel full of rabbits. There are dozens of doors down here, and Adelaide checks one by one until she finds Red drawing people holding hands on a board in a classroom full of cages. Red explains it was humans who built this place and they were able to create copies of bodies, but not of their souls. There's only one soul shared by two. These copies are the tethered and were used to control the ones above like puppets. Eventually the tethered were abandoned and they went mad down here trying to survive while only eating rabbits. However, Red was different, so when Adelaide came to the carnival, Red left the tunnel to comfort her. During the following years, when Adelaide started practicing ballet, Red took inspiration from the dancing to find faith in her life. She started to make a plan so all the tethered people could finally have time on the surface too. Using ballet moves, Red moves around the room and stops the table that Adelaide pushes to then stab her hand with the scissors and slap her, causing her to drop the poker. Red kicks it away and tries to stab Adelaide's head, but she's putting up too much resistance, so Red throws her on the ground instead. Adelaide grabs the poker again and attacks Red, who easily blocks her and kicks her before leaving the classroom. A desperate Adelaide follows her to the tunnel and keeps on trying to hit her, but Red easily dodges all her attacks while occasionally slashing her with the scissors. Eventually, Red stabs Adelaide in the stomach and disappears into another room. Adelaide enters the room as well, and Red tries to surprise her from behind, but Adelaide turns around just in time and stabs her with the poker. She pushes really deep, but Red is still alive and even whistling, so Adelaide puts her handcuffs around Red's neck to break it and finally kill her. Afterward, Adelaide takes Red's keys and finds Jason in a locker. They leave the tunnel and reunite with their family to escape inside an ambulance. As Adelaide drives away, she starts remembering the incident in detail. It turns out that the fake Adelaide kid choked the real one to death, then took her into the tunnel to handcuff her to the bed. After taking the real girl's clothes, the doppelganger went outside and took over Adelaide's life. This is why she couldn't speak after the incident and had to learn again, and why Red was the only doppelganger who did talk. A wary Jason looks at his mother with doubt, but Adelaide just smiles. Meanwhile, all the doppelgangers around the country are holding hands in a huge line. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.